Hey, welcome to Mike's Trains and thanks for joining me for another video. In this video here, what we're going to take care of is when you get ready to get this backdrop and these buildings here all installed. And in order to do that and get this stuff done, you can see I've actually drilled the holes for this building and the wires are dropped down. So this is pretty much going to stay where it is. This is not in yet because, well, this backdrop isn't in yet. And before I can put this backdrop in, I need to address this area right here. And you can kind of see, I think it shows, I drew a line here where I have to cut out all of this. And it continues with the road right here. And this is going to follow right through as well. So that this road will continue into the backdrop and just continue off into nowhere. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to take out the backdrop so we don't damage it. And we're going to cut out this area right here, this little area. So let me get myself situated and we'll start getting that cut out. Alright, so I'm going to start that with, what I'm going to do is I have one of these retractable knives here, and I'm just going to make a cut along that line. Now some of this down here gets a little harder. It's not just foam. There's a lot of Sculptamold in there, so I need a tougher knife. Because Sculptamold is kind of tough to cut. So, judging on what I'm seeing here, this is going to take a little while. All right. So, why don't I get all this pulled out of here, and then we'll come back when I have it all out. You see the process. So, why don't we come back in a little bit when I have all of this out. All right. So, you can see I've cut out all of the side of the mountain here. And just for your own knowledge, this is something I found. A lot of this was covered in Sculptamold from way back. I had a hard time getting it out, but I did find that if you wet it again, it'll soften up and it's very easy to get out at that point. If you ever have to deal with it, that's the easiest way I found. But now it's time to start rebuilding this. Okay, this area right here. So this right here is a piece of 1/8 inch masonite that I had put down on top of the plywood because I wanted a smooth area to put roads on for the city part over here. And this is where it ended, and then this mountain over here continued right onto the masonite. So it blended it right in and you couldn't really tell. Well, here's the unintended consequences of that and what I'm going to be dealing with this. That masonite also runs right here. It runs a nice line right around here. It comes across and right through the other side here. This is all a raised area. This whole thing is one big raised area, and it's all masonite. I'm not going to use this as my road surface. So what I'm going to be doing is, much like I did the road here, this is 20,000 styrene sheet. I'm going to do the roads in here like this as well, because it's easier, number one, to paint the roads and line them in my airbrush booth, in my spray booth, and get everything all painted up there and then just come down here and glue it in, than it is to try and do that in place here. The other reason is there are parts in here that aren't quite even. Like right here, there's sort of a, let's see, right over here, there's sort of a line here that runs through. You can see the line of joint compound. When I wanted to go even this all out, you can see another line here right here where I pieced in another piece of it. I don't want to have any of that showing. There's another one here. It's a sort of a triangle. I don't know what those are from. There are holes from the buildings that were here in here that I had to patch, and I want to make sure that none of that shows. So these are all the reasons why I'm going to lay in the 20,000 styrene glued right on top of this, and then I'll have a nice smooth surface like I have here to do the roads on. But that brings us to the issue that I have now. So when you're over here, this is a raised up section, this is lower. So I need to cut a piece of this 1/8 inch masonite to cover this small area right here. So what I need to do, and what I brought down, is a piece of paper, because I need to make a template for it. So with the paper, I'm going to lay this in here, right up to the thing, right up to the masonite here, and up to the wall, like this. And of course this cut here isn't a 90 to my wall. Let me get this out of the way. I don't want to damage anything. So what I'm saying is this cut right here isn't a straight cut, because I just used a piece of scrap masonite that I had, and I just laid it in there, and I didn't really care where this went. Well, I'm paying the price for that now. So this is not a straight cut. So what I need to do is lay the piece of paper in here. I want to put it flat straight up to the wall, okay, and then lay it right up to the wall like this, and push this down in like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to crease up against this like this. And then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to draw this right in here. So I need to go something like this. Yeah. So what I have, this is the piece that the angle of the cut that I'm doing, and then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to follow the crease mark I made in the paper. So this is what we're going to end up using. And I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to lay this on a piece of masonite. I have more scraps of this stuff, small pieces of it, in the garage. I'm going to go lay this on one of those. I'm going to cut this out, lay it on there, trace it out, cut it out, and then I'm going to set that into place right here, and I'm going to use caulk like I do for everything else, and I'm going to glue that into place. Okay, I'm not going to show it on camera because it's really not anything that, you know, I need to film, but I did want to show you the template. Now for the rest of this, let me move the camera again. Alright, so for the rest of this sidewall right here, okay, this wall right here with the pink foam showing, this I wanted to do with some rock castings up along that and just blend that right into this hillside here so that it comes down so it looks like they blasted out for the road, you know, and everything's all cleaned out and the road will continue right into that. The only downside to that I totally hit a wall with is, unfortunately, I'm out of Hydrocal plaster, so I can't make the castings. I have used plaster of Paris in the molds, and it works fairly well. I'm out of that as well too, so I'm kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place. I can't make the rocks right now. So I did make an order for them, but I'm not going to be getting those for a couple of weeks. So this is kind of where we're at. So I'm gonna as far as I can go with that whole section there is placing in this piece of hardboard to even up this piece here. And this right here is a little bit raised up from the glues and whatever other stuff I used. I'm going to place that piece in here. We're going to glue it down. I'm going to smooth this out, some sandpaper or whatever, and then we're going to take Sculpt-A-Mold, and I'm going to blend this outer edge here, between here and here. I'm going to blend that with some Sculpt-A-Mold to even it up, and all the way down into the wall down there. We'll just keep following it down. And that'll all get blended in on this side with Sculpt-A-Mold. And then on this section of track, well, let's not go that far. So that'll be how all that's going to get done. We'll just sand it here. Any big seams, if there's big gaps in there, we'll fill it with Sculpt-A-Mold or whatever. But I don't foresee anything like that. And then we can continue the road markings down in, and we can do something a little more permanent. But that's where we're going to end with this area here. I can't go any further until my hydrocal comes. And, you know, thanks to this virus and shipping times and all this kind of stuff, everything's running slow. So things take longer than they normally would. But in the meantime, what's going to happen and what we're going to start working on next is this area here. And what I want to start doing is building the sidewalk all the way down the front of this, and we'll get this part of it straightened out so that we can in turn work the road here and down into the backside there. So we'll get this area more complete. So I think next week we're going to start working on the sidewalks on here. We can get these put in along with the backdrop installed. And just an FYI, installing the backdrop, I'm not going to film that as well. You've seen me do it before. I have other videos for it. But all I'm going to do is spray the backside of that three-part backdrop with Super 77 glue. And we're just going to stick that to the wall here. And then we can continue on with the rest of this. So I think that's going to be it. I really don't know where else to go with this at this point because I am out of materials. I'm kind of stretching to get things done at this point. So anyway, as always, if you're just finding me for the first time, please by all means subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Love to have you along. You can visit my website at mikestrains.wordpress.com, and you can see pictures of other stuff. You can see the before views of this, what this looked like before we started, as well as the areas that we've completed already. So anyway, until next time, happy modeling.